Here we go.
Andy Levy,
Molly Jong-Fast.
welcome back. Chart-rated podcaster Andy Levy. That's your. You
Yeah,
go
I
go.
know I'm so bad at
You
self-promotion.
really
Yeah,
are.
Molly is talking about the new podcast that Danielle Moody and I have launched this week, as the World Churns. You can find it anywhere you get your podcasts and also on YouTube.
So let's talk about trade. Today, Donald Trump, you may have heard of him. He had a meeting with Mark Carney, the
Yes.
newly elected Prime Minister of Canada. And it was, I have to say, an incredible, they did, because Trump is good at getting people's attention, which is something Democrats could absolutely learn from. He invited the pool spray in, and there he explained to them that he has no idea how trade works.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty amazing moment in which he said, yes. So Carney, who is like very smart and knows how to do stuff and was involved in the disaster that is Brexit, trying to keep Britain from ruining itself, which, spoiler, he was not able to do, said, well, we have all these cars where they're made partially in Canada and partially in the United States, which is true. You have these car parts that go back and forth to different factories, and the whole idea here is that you shouldn't tariff things multiple times. And Trump said, yeah, but we don't want to buy Canadian cars anymore. We only want to buy American cars. Are we all going to die?
I don't know that I've ever had. This is the guy that's supposed to be a businessman. Like, I keep being told that he's
Billionaire,
a businessman, billionaire, makes deals. This is a guy who I
lots of
guess
deals.
today said that we don't care about accessing foreign markets.
We don't need
I
them.
That's gonna come, I think, as a surprise to a lot of American companies. Maybe I'm wrong because I don't, look, I don't want to argue with the business genius. It's entirely possible that I'm wrong, but my understanding of economics is that you want as many people as possible to buy your products, to buy your services, and that means you don't care really where they live in the world.
Uh,
So,
Speak
am
for
I wrong?
yourself,
Molly,
baby.
am I wrong?
I'm
I'm
excited to
sorry.
tariff foreign films, the cash cow that is
Yeah,
foreign films.
yeah. But you have
100%
always,
tariff.
and this is one thing, and a lot of us, we talk about this about you off air. You've always had a jingoistic streak.
Always.
Where and it really does, it borders on the xenophobic, and
Yes,
you are
for sure.
apt to be muttering those damn foreigners a lot.
100%.
And I give you credit because you've managed to keep that, I guess until now, you've managed to keep that sort of private, sort of, you haven't
Yeah,
done it on your podcasts or
that's
on
right.
MSNBC, but
Not yet.
the fact of the matter is now the world knows exactly what you are. I guess I understand why you sort of agree with Trump here.
Yeah. I mean, certainly we don't need those well, he is a genius. No, listen.
Yeah.
It is very stupid. This is very, very stupid. But I think, like, we are careening into what seems like it is about to be an economic disaster
Oh yeah.
of Trump's making. I feel like the one bright spot here is that it undermines the authoritarianism.
Well, it undermines the authoritarianism. By that, do you mean that there are people in this country who might support Trump on the authoritarianism
Yeah,
on the
there are quite a lot of people in this country, I think it's fair to say, for
yeah,
whom attacking universities and disappearing grad students is not
a
a
problem. Yeah.
disqualifier or a
Right.
problem, right?
Right.
It's not good. I don't think they even think it's particularly bad, right? They
Yeah.
just are okay with it.
Right.
But crashing the economy for no reason, that actually does seem to have gotten even the people for whom, the rest of Trumpism is fine, pretty pissed.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And I do think that, like you said, the people who either are gung ho about shutting down those damn elite universities and
Yeah.
about,
Cancer
you know,
research.
yeah, exactly. And kidnapping people and sending them to a foreign country because their skin is darker
Yeah.
than ours. The people who are either gung ho for that, or they're okay with it, or they simply don't care. They are all going to care about, as you said, about if the economy crashes and they can't afford things and
Yeah.
they look at their,
Two
if they're,
dolls,
at, well, that's the other thing. It's like, I'm old
dolls
enough
and pencils.
to remember I was working at Fox News when Bernie Sanders said something about, it was about deodorants. And he was talking about how you go into a drugstore and there are like, 30, 40 different brands of deodorant. He's like, that's crazy. We don't need that. And the outrage at Fox News when he
Yeah.
said this, how dare he? How dare he say we don't need all those choices? That's capitalism. And we've gone from that to, of course, the same people who were saying that supporting the president who is out there saying, you only need $2.
It's funny because on this podcast, you're about to hear me interview Andy
Oh, it's
Bashir, and
Andy Day.
it's Andy Day on
Yeah, we
whatever
like
this
it.
is called, Fast Politics. And Andy said it's not the difference between $35 and $2. It's the difference between $2 and no dollars.
No dolls. Yeah.
And as someone who really has come from a lot of privilege, it didn't occur to me because as much as I understand that people who have less than I do or who have been discriminated against have a harder time in some ways. It didn't occur to me. I was as much guilty of the Trump affluenza, the way of thinking
Right.
as anyone, because I thought I thought, well, that's not a message anyone's going to like. But what Andy Bashir said is exactly right. It's not. It's $2 or no dollars, and we're going to have, and there's going to be a Christmas where because we already see the shipping issue and we already
Oh
see
yeah.
China and the toy manufacturing, and we just saw Mattel saying toys are going to be more expensive.
Yep.
So this is not going to be a $2 versus $35 Christmas. It's going to be people without toys.
Yeah, and I mean, look,
Children, not people. Children, right? Children.
well,
Or kids
adults,
without toys or
adults
food.
adults can have toys.
I'm sorry. If you're an adult and you don't get anything for Christmas, it is
Hmm.
not that you are not talking about in therapy 20 years later.
Wow. Okay, Grinch. Uh, I just want to say that, when we're talking about adults, we don't call them dolls, we call them action figures. That's very important.
Your
Um,
PlayStation 4,
5, thank you.
7 is going to be more expensive.
I know, I'm glad I have it already. And I've been talking to some other people about this, and I am like convincing myself to buy stuff now that I don't necessarily need, but like, that I kind of want because I'm like, it's only smart to buy it now before these tariffs really kick in. I'm saving myself money is what I'm doing. I'm being smart by
The,
buying all these things now.
if we're going into our own mental illness for a minute, uh, I
When
was
do we
like,
not?
when are we not? You and I together, we're just diving into mental illness here. But I was like, I need more paper towels. Like
All
the
right.
tariffs are gonna hit the paper towels.
Right. Well, the tariffs may not, but the shelves may be bare. I
So
mean,
I was like, I'm gonna
yeah.
need to buy $70 worth of paper towels right now.
Yeah. Look, everything I've been reading is that, and as you alluded to the shipping earlier, that, the ports are not as crowded as they were, and they're continuing the ports in America, and they're continuing to become less and less crowded. And, I've seen people talking about how as early as later this month, we're going to really be noticing it at the store.
Yeah.
So my I think my point here is that I may be stopping by Molly to get some paper towels.
Yeah, and I may not be giving them to you. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I think
okay.
no, I will give you paper
Is
towels.
this
I'm a
what you
good
were like
neighbor.
during COVID too? You were like
Yeah,
just
I'm a
sitting there
hoarder. Where
surrounded. You made like a toilet paper roll fort, and you
do you
wouldn't let
remember
anybody in.
the episode of Curb where they go into the closet and they realize that what's his name is a hoarder. He's such a great guy, but he's got all that toilet paper and um it's incredible when you think about it that we have made the stupidest person in America president and then we have made him the most powerful president in modern political history.
I've always felt that sometimes there are like the president can only do so much with the economy. And I feel like sometimes presidents get too much blame or too much credit for the state of the economy. But with what's happening now and what's gonna, I probably continue to happen. This is solely Donald Trump's fault. I mean, it's nobody else's fault, not counting the sycophants around him and in the Republican Congress. But this is like a self-made recession, which may turn into a self-made global depression, all
Yeah.
because of this one guy. It's really I don't think it has a like there's no reference point for this in our lives, I don't think, Molly. Like where we
Um,
could say
right.
this is just like when this president did that. Like there's really I can't think of one.
I
I
mean,
can't think of
COVID a little bit, right? We saw it coming, but again, it was a once in a lifetime pandemic.
right.
So that, in a sense, is a little bit different. It's not the same at all, but like the credit crisis, we were saved by a president who understood, because that could have turned into, I mean, obviously, the
Yes.
way it was
Yes.
done, a lot of people didn't like bailing out the banks, and
Right.
perhaps there would have been a way. I think what we saw, what Biden learned from it was that you should bail out everyone. If you're going to bail out the banks, you got to bail out also small businesses. Now, the problem is when you start bailing out small businesses, you open yourself to PPE fraud. By the way,
Right.
so many people in Trump world got PPE loans.
Oh,
I
for sure.
mean, incredible numbers. And then when you open the door to like paying out small businesses, why are you not paying out student loans? You really do sort of open the door to moral relevancy. There have been many times in sort of Trump's first term where I thought, oh, he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. And then like he was sort of talked out of it. That's what we saw earlier this month with the public markets, right? That he was talked out of it eventually. The hope is that that will happen again. But when you listen to him talking to Mark Carney, it seems as if he still doesn't understand that he's wrong.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. He absolutely doesn't understand that he's wrong. And when we talk about him being talked out of things, I don't think that's fully accurate because I think what ends up happening is like he names some outrageous figure, like we're gonna put a 100% tariff on this. And people are like, the markets react to that badly. People are like, oh, this is a bad idea. And then he says, all right, we're only gonna do 20%. And it's still like, but that's still wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's still not good. It's just that we are being conditioned by, him going to this far extreme. And then when he comes back a little, we're like, oh, okay, see, he listens. But it's like, no, because he shouldn't be doing these things at all. And look, I don't know. I think at a certain point he is gonna stop dialing things back because as you said, he is convinced that he is right. And it
Right.
doesn't matter how many people tell him he's wrong. I mean, we saw that even with a lot of the tariffs that even Elon Musk was like, I don't want him to be doing this. And he didn't really care.
Is Elon Musk still running Doge? What is Doge doing, and why are we not hearing about it every day?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I guess they did have that little press conference with Big Balls
Yes, big balls. We know him
uh
well.
a couple days ago. But look, I think Musk is a little scared. I think he's a little scared of that move by the Tesla shareholders or the board to, maybe replace him if he doesn't dial it back. And I think that that is the sole reason that he hasn't been as public with the Doge stuff. But also, I mean, look, they talked about, Doge was going to have all this transparency, and they launched that ridiculous website with the
You're right, where
supposed
everything
dollar
was
figures.
wrong. It was amazing.
Right. But that even on their own website, like that dollar figure is shrinking, like their supposed savings. And it's like, not I was going to say we are learning, but we already knew this. But the people who didn't understand that Elon Musk just peddles absolute lies and nonsense for a living. That's and I mean that for real. Like that's literally
No.
what he does, talking about I think it's been now 15 years where he said we're going to be on Mars in 5 years. You
Yeah,
know,
my
a-
favorite is would you like it to take 9 minutes to get to Boston?
Right. So he
Yeah.
makes these outrageous promises because he's a huckster and
Uh,
he's ultimately he's a grifter and he sells these
also
dreams.
the richest man in the world.
Yeah, because it's worked for him.
And
Uh,
because it's worked with the government. I mean, what
right.
kind of
Right.
indictment is this of our federal government that this guy has gotten to be the richest man in the world basically through government subsidies?
Yeah. I've been saying this for a long time. Like, this didn't start with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
This was
Shut it down, baby.
Democratic. Yeah, this was Democratic administrations working with Elon Musk, giving him these contracts. The oligarchy works for both parties, unfortunately.
Yeah, shut it down. Back it up. Andy
So,
Levy, you know what time
Molly,
it is.
time to end.
Time to end the podcast.
Okay.
Perhaps you'll come back.
Perhaps I will. I would love to.
All right. We'll see you soon.